What's going on, everybody? Howard Bender here from Fantasy Alarm. NFL Week 8 is here. It's time to start building some more DFS lineups. You want to win a GPP? I want to win a GPP. In order to do that, you know that you're going to have to come up with some good, solid DFS contrarian picks. Quality players at low ownership. That's what does it for you. Of course, your lineup build and your contest selection are important, but you got to go against the grain sometimes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you one player at each position here. Low ownership, good matchups, likely to pop. We'll start at quarterback, and I go to CJ Stroud of the Houston Texans. 6,900 on DraftKings, 8,500 on FanDuel, but according to our projections over at Fantasy Alarm, less than 3% owned. I mean, after last week, nobody wants to play him. Joe Mixon's coming off of 2 straight 100-yard games with 4 touchdowns, and everyone expects another run-heavy approach against the Colts. But this Colts defense is bad through and through, including their pass defense. They're giving up the 10th most passing yards allowed. They've also allowed 10 passing touchdowns. And we know that Stroud's production splits, his home road splits, are really where it's at. Over 20 fantasy points per game at home, just over 13 points per game on the road. This home matchup here for CJ Stroud, I like him as a good, solid contrarian play. At the running back position, I'm locking in Josh Jacobs of the Green Bay Packers, 6,600 on DraftKings, 7,500 on FanDuel. Projections have him at less than 7% owned this week. Everyone's expecting more out of Jordan Love, especially against the Jags' 32nd ranked pass defense. I mean, come on, Love's thrown for 13 touchdowns over his last 4 games, so why wouldn't they go pass heavy, right? Don't sleep on Josh Jacobs. He's averaging almost 80 yards per game with double-digit carries each week except for 1 this season. Jags run D might look good on paper, but they're allowing over 100 rushing yards per game, and they've given up 7 rushing touchdowns. So a low-owned Josh Jacobs, yes, please. At the wide receiver position, I'm looking at Sterling Shepard of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Everybody's in on Jalen McMillan. Everybody's in on Trey Palmer. Sterling Shepard, 3,800 on DraftKings, 5,100 on FanDuel, less than 3% ownership projected. That's tiny in comparison. So with everybody else on McMillan and Trey Palmer this week, you got to look at Shepard. He's seen a strong snap count with over 30% of his snaps coming out of the slot, which is where Chris Godwin was playing. Now, his price tag is as strong of a bargain as McMillan and Palmer, and maybe the Bucs lean a little bit more on the veteran with their 2 biggest guns on the shelf. And then finally, at the tight end position, how about a little Jonnu Smith of the Miami Dolphins? 3,600 on DraftKings, 5,200 on FanDuel, less than 3% ownership projected right now. It's a little bit more of a dart throw, kind of comes off a little like chasing points from last week, but to pay down at tight end opens up so much more at the top of your lineup, and everyone's latching onto Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle with Tua back. Mike McDaniel likes to keep his tight end involved, so maybe we zig in a little bit of a stack when everybody else zags. So don't sleep on Jonnu Smith. As always, we're going to have all the DFS content over there at fantasyalarm.com, the playbook, the coaches, the dartboard, the example lineups, you name it, we got it. And if you don't subscribe, go to fantasyalarm.com/allpro, sign up for either the monthly or the annual, and we'll give you a 7-day free trial. Take it for a spin. This subscription will pay for itself. I'm Howard Bender of the Fantasy Alarm. Catch you next time.